My dear friends, feelings of intense and painful loss have penetrated our hearts since Robert's passing 1 week ago. Robert defied many predictions in living as long as he did after he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer just over 2 years ago. We all hoped and prayed that the miracle of a total healing might come. But sadly, Robert slipped away from the world this past Wednesday on the solemnity of the Epiphany of the Lord, surrounded by his loving family. What an appropriate day for someone who had made such an extraordinary journey. His death has been felt by everyone so much here at St. Peter Parish, and throughout the North Shore, and throughout the Archdiocese, and really throughout the entire country and beyond. So many people praying for Robert. Robert's death certainly has been felt most acutely by his wife, Anne, and by his 5 beautiful children. For a family to lose a husband and a father at such an early time in life must be one's worst nightmare. We all wonder what it must be like to stand in their shoes right now. Anne, Eli, Gabe, Edith, Miriam, Sarah, our hearts go out to you. And we offer you the deepest sympathy and our heartfelt empathy. I'll just start by saying that it has been a special grace and a true privilege to have known Robert for so many years. In fact, Danny and Corey and I were talking just the other night about our lengthy relationships with Robert. And it was in that conversation that I realized that I have known Robert for the majority of my life. I've known him since I was a junior in high school at St. Paul's. So over the past 22 years, I, as well as countless other souls, have found Robert to be such a Catholic gentleman, high in stature, but gentle in nature. He was generous, he was kind, he loved a good party, he loved a good drink, he loved to laugh. We can all remember his laugh. He was fiercely dedicated to his Catholic faith. And it was with almost equally as dedicated to his family and friends. And I say that Robert was almost equally as dedicated to his family and friends as his Catholic faith and his belief in the Lord, because it was readily evident that Robert tried to place God at the forefront of his life. His dedication to his family, it came next. So many people have prayed for that total healing which would allow Robert to continue living in this world and to share his gifts with so many for many, many decades to come. But that was not the miracle that God chose to give. But I have no doubt that the Lord has given Robert another one. When Robert realized that his cancer had become so extensive and that he was fighting a losing battle, he and his family, they placed their trust in God, and they thrust themselves into God's divine providence. Robert's struggle, as well as all of the other hurdles that accompany a diagnosis as devastating as pancreatic cancer, like struggles with himself, struggles with his life, struggle with his faith, struggles with the reality of death, all of those struggles eventually brought him to a place of peace and acceptance, which even the most casual observer could recognize. If you had the distinct grace of being able to visit Robert in the last couple weeks of his life, you could see a little bit of the key to dying with dignity and grace. Robert's journey of final acceptance was assisted by his deep prayer life. Robert received the Eucharist regularly, and God only knows how many times he was anointed over the course of his illness. Lord knows I've lost count. Our brother priest here in attendance today certainly have offered countless masses for Robert and anointed him themselves. So today I pay a special and heartfelt tribute not only to Anne and her beautiful children for the love and support which they gave so selflessly to Robert, but also to Robert's family. Shirley, his brothers and sisters, and his extended family from St. Peter Parish. And when I say his extended family, I mean all of those who loved him. Now, there was a group of men that loved Robert in a very, very deep way. I was blessed to be in that number. The men that make up that group may not be related by flesh and blood, but you would be hard-pressed to tell the difference. Your dedication to your Christian faith, all of you, your dedication to your Christian faith and the love of our brother Robert have been one of the most powerful acts of love that I have experienced in my life. Thank you for that powerful witness. As I mentioned a bit earlier, Robert died on the solemnity of the Epiphany. And I've been reflecting an awful lot on that fact. The word epiphany means an appearance or a manifestation, especially with regard to the divine. It also means a sudden and striking discovery. Just think of the discovery, the epiphany that Robert received last Wednesday evening. As Christians, we can say with great hope, and I use that word very deliberately, hope, that Robert received the epiphany that we ourselves hope for. Within the entire season of Christmas can be found the central theme of seeking the face of God. The shepherds, they sought to see the Christ child face to face. The wise men traveled from the four corners of the earth to see the Christ child face to face. Really, the entirety of the Gospels are filled with so many different stories of people seeking to see the face of Jesus, the second person of the Blessed Trinity, seeking to see him face to face. So we are all called through our baptisms to the universal call to holiness. But what does that mean? It means that we are called to know and to love and to imitate the Lord and to seek his face at all times. Robert did a pretty good job of seeking the face of Christ. In fact, he made it his life's goal to do just that. He taught the faith to countless boys as a theology professor at St. Paul. I think Robert would shake his head in affirmation right now that we have got to double down on our desire to know and to love and to imitate the Lord each and every day, because we're not doing a good enough job at present. Let us look to Robert's good example on how to boldly encounter the world with a desire to increase the faith of those whom we meet. Let us also be more reliant upon the grace of the sacraments to help us overcome the influence of a world that is hell-bent on telling us that there is no such thing as God, and that struggling to live out the gospel message is a waste of our time. We are men and women of Christian hope, and we possess true joy at being counted among the flock that God has chosen. Now, we aren't perfect, neither was Robert. We sin and we screw things up day in and day out. That's what the sacrament of reconciliation is for. So I ask all of you here, how long has it been since you last went to confession? Has it been too long? If it has been, I challenge you to seek out a good priest and to go as soon as possible. We can't say that we are striving to know and to love and to imitate Jesus if we don't regularly seek his grace and forgiveness. A week ago today, Robert knelt before the Lord and was judged by him. It is our fervent prayer that he heard the Lord say unto him, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. With you I am well pleased. Come and enter the kingdom of heaven. Welcome home. Fear not. You are no further from your wife and your children, your family and your friends than I am." That's our hope. That's our hope for Robert. Jesus tells us too, "I am close to you all." Do you believe this? Do you believe this? It is my prayer that all who mourn Robert's death might say with great resolve, "Yes, Lord, I believe."